And hello, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of A Fair Criticism. Let me start by saying Happy New Year. This being the very first day of 2020, making it January 1, yeah, to 2020, and it has arrived. You know, when I was a much younger man, I had a certain belief that I wouldn't get to a particular age, and I won't talk about the age that I thought I would actually be dead by, because I'm well past it. And I'm so glad that I am, as we live in quite interesting times. So I just want to get that out of the way. Happy New Year. As you can see, the Christmas tree is still up. I'm demanding to be taken down. I've had enough. I'm really not partial to a lot of the Christmas fanfare. So I got back from Amsterdam yesterday. I spent a few days with the family in the Netherlands. I had a lovely time away from the not so sunny place of England, as I live very near to London, and I commute to London each day for work. I want to talk about what this channel, my YouTube channel, A Fair Criticism, will be mostly about, and I plan to cover all topics. Things from this year, at the end of this month, we have the very exciting finish line to something that has been called Brexit, and maybe that's not a really great term for it, but once it's stuck, it's stuck. And so we have this prime minister who some people consider to be a bit buffoonish. I don't think that is a fair representation of his character, because he is the prime minister. And so how does a buffoon beat out so many intelligent, elegant, and eloquent individuals? So Boris has my support in his endeavors. I do make an effort to support a prime minister. I have to say that the recently held elections, it was in mid-December. As someone who wasn't born here, I do not permit myself to take advantage of the ability to vote, and that's fine. At some point, I know that I will let my voice be heard, and I'll make some sort of meaningful decisions in the political atmosphere. So, this program will discover or explore things as Brexit and boxing and the need for us to be brave. We'll be talking about the buffoons that actually exist in our community. England I find to be a very fascinating land, a country filled with very hard-working people who can be quite dedicated and show levels of commitment that are not considered in ways that are meaningful. So I want to say that as a man who considers himself to be a foreigner here, that I am very pleased, in some ways blessed, to be accepted in the community. And don't get me wrong, there are issues, and there are people who don't like me or don't accept me. Not so much care about those who don't like me, but certainly who don't accept and won't accept me due to my well, I have certain attributes that are different now. So I come from the country of Bermuda, and we're still a colony, and you can call it whatever term you want. It's still a colony for all intents and purposes. So I come from a land that is outright owned by the British. I have rights and privileges extended to me as one who is actually born here. So, I don't have a whole lot to say at the beginning of this, and as I was thinking earlier about how I would present this very first episode, um, I want us all to take time out and dwell on the idea that 2019 really wasn't a great year for us. And so, if we can hold 2019 as a benchmark, regardless of how it actually went for you, I think there's always ways and means for lives to be better. So, if 2019 wasn't that great, you have the material of the future of 2020 ahead of you. What are you going to do this year? We have Brexit coming. How do you take advantage and position yourself to accept Brexit? This is a seismic change, not just in this country but throughout Europe as well. And there's lots to talk about and debate in terms of the political landscape, the financial aspects. Inevitably, there are going to be some hardships faced by other member states of Europe. But with that, the English have actually unburdened themselves of some additional hardships that were placed on them. I'm not going to call this a zero-sum game, and although it bears many of the hallmarks of it, but it's what it is. The English people have spoken. Boris has gotten what he needed, and I think he does have a mandate, and that is to deliver Brexit. There's no doubt in my mind that if the Labour Party had actually said that they will accept the will of the people, that there would have been the party to govern for the next 4 or 5 years. So they would have been the governing party. But they didn't listen, and maybe they were a little half-hearted. They didn't put 2 feet into the pond. And because of that, I think seeing the results of this past election, where many parishes, many constituencies, they swapped. There's only one thing on their mind, and they are willing to tolerate. And I'm going to use that word because they are willing to tolerate a lot of the other nonsense that will come from the Tories. That will provide us with many interesting points to discuss as well in the near future. So I have decided this year I'm not going to have any New Year's resolutions. I have none, except this one. I was told I need to abandon my overuse of ellipses. And you know what ellipsis is. It's the ... and it's actually a grammatical thing, and it's very powerful and useful, and I find that it fills a space where sometimes an emoji cannot. It provided me with a way to communicate that made me feel like I was leaving space for others to interpret the things that I was saying. Okay, so I've been spent a little bit on my knuckles. I haven't used an ellipsis yet this year. At the time right now is, I don't know if I reset my watch after I got back from the Netherlands yesterday. It's 1:48, so that is correct. So it's 1:48, and still at this hour, I haven't used WhatsApp a little bit. I haven't used ellipsis. So that is probably my one resolution. Something that I do plan to do this year. I have a couple of plans this year, and one of them is to get my damn body back. The last few months of last year, I abandoned all of my hard efforts to keep my body slim and trim, to maintain the body of a man who's not 51. I decided to take on the body of a man who's 51, to my chagrin. So I intend to get my body back in the next 28 days. I endeavor with a group of friends. I've encouraged them. We're going to try something called the pH Miracle. I think at this stage, I might even just go with a bit of I might abandon eating all meat products, anything that comes from an animal. I might do that as my particular course. Um, Behind me, I have a program on called London. No, what's it called? Iron Mind, by the gentleman Brian Rose of London Real, and in it he is attempting to do a triathlon and the Ironman contest, and the fella who has signed him up for it has told him, all plant based, not an animal to behead. You would not put an animal in your body for this training. And there have been times in my life I have benefited mightily from reducing my animal intake, and I've actually, during 2 periods of my life, experienced vegetarian lifestyles for a 7-year period, and I had a child born. I think that meat consumption is important for brain development. So the baby will do as daddy does, is what I did. And so I had 2 sons born, and at each time there was a 7-year period in which I had led an animal product free lifestyle. I did eat cheeses and whatnot. I love good healthy milk, but for this particular endeavor, I'm going to be starting off. I haven't gotten on the scale yet. In earnest, it begins tomorrow, as today is the last day we're permitted to have beautiful white flour products like bread and pizza and cheese and all that. That's on the white flour product. That's a dairy product. Yes, this is true. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to putting myself on a scale and making myself available to the challenge of my health, my full and best self. And so that's an opportunity, and it's positive. I want to do things that are life changing this year, and it's not that I didn't do any of those last year. Just some of the work that I'm involved with. I help other individuals to reclaim important parts of their lives. Men who have struggled with decisions, usually related to overconsumption of and addiction to drugs, alcohol, sometimes gambling, and really just bad life choices. So this year I'll be involved with that still, but I know that I can improve myself, and there's always room for improvement. I mean, have you ever seen a film, ever seen a movie, and as good as it was, you knew you could make it better? I mean, just this past, was it last month, I finally got around to see the Joker, and I was so touched by it. And there are some people that I kind of revere in some regard who are not on board with it. And fine, there are some movies that they just don't appeal to you. And for me, a lot of this is subjective, and I can have objective subjectivity and wrap myself up in my very, very strong philosophies. So it's it's a wonderful year ahead. We can really do well. And to our friends across the Atlantic as well, we have just seen in the United States of America, the President Donald J. Trump has been somewhat impeached, because there seems to be a little hiccup on the impeachment process. And as you look at the numbers, as you see the groundswell movement that he has been able to bring about, and similar to what happened with Bill Clinton, it actually it increased his margins. It grew his base. And so I believe the Democrats have made a tragic error. They should have taken better advice. They should have been much smarter in the decisions in impeaching him. And it was so weak. These articles of impeachment, 2 articles of impeachment, there was no defined crime. None. So, that's a problem. That is a real problem going forward, because who can take this seriously? It doesn't look good for the Democrats in this next election cycle. Anyway, so I don't want to be much longer with you. I do want to wrap up. I had a couple of things that I just wanted to share with you. There's nothing I want to say other than I will try to be honest, completely honest with you guys about some of the events in my own life. There are things that I would like to happen in my personal affairs. There are things I'd like to accomplish going along the way. And again, these are plans. I've decided to make this my little book for the first month of the year. And so I just have a few notes of achievements I would like to actually realize in the coming period. So I have a word of the day for you, which again it's about positivity on here. And so every word that utters or that leaves our lips should be ones based in they should be words based in truth. They should be foundational to us. They should be meaningful. And so the word that I have for you on the screen is perfidy. And simply stated, states it's the quality or state of being faithless or disloyal. An act or an instance of disloyalty. My friends, I'm asking you to be loyal. To be loyal to all the things that you've agreed to be loyal to. Let that be your country, your faith, your family. If you say you're going to do something, be loyal to yourself. Build your reputation. Make it something strong. Make it something in which you would be open to compromise, but not to selling out. So, we can all be better people. We can all improve the world around us. We can all make a huge difference in our lives, and as we make differences in our lives, we make differences in the lives of people who are around us. I really want to just show you that in my attempt to be honest and real, and here's the front page of the BBC for today, and we can see that in Australia that there are fires raging. In North Korea, they want to end a moratorium on nuclear testing, so they have decided after such a short period of time to start up again. Chelsea playing Brighton. There's stuff about fashion. There's the Pope who seems to be annoyed with an admirer or / adherent. It's going to be a good year. We live in interesting times, you and I. I could have made so many other choices in my life. I could have gone so many other different directions. I've taken some chances. I've taken great losses. 2020 is a time for victory. 2020 is a time for us, for you and for me, to make it better. Make it better. Again, 2019, okay, not that bad. Not that bad. I can live with it. I'm living with it. There's one last little bit I want to cover with you right now, at this very moment. As we near the end of the Greta, era of Greta, the little girl from Sweden who should shortly go into the good night. She will be forgotten soon enough, as so many others have been. The screaming banshee, I sometimes refer to her. I think it has been a very interesting event for so many to place such a heavy emphasis on the words of a very troubled child. And look, I'm not here to dismiss her concerns. I'm not here for that. I'm not. I just think that there were far better ways for people to be touched. And I have to say, she did not appeal to me. Her approach was wrong. Her attitude was wrong. Her parents parlayed a very clear and well-defined set of issues that she has into something that was quite horrifying to watch. And if that was my child, I would not have exposed my child to such experiences. But these are those people operate. I'm not here to judge you. You raise your child the way you see fit. But I don't listen to screaming banshees, and most rational adults won't. And one of the reasons why I do have an issue with what she was trying to sell us is based on this chart. And I will be using this chart in the future. And as soon as someone wants to begin to debate with me about climate change, I say, well, let's look at the science. Let's look at accepted science dating back 15, 20,000 years. Okay? Let's have that conversation. And if we can see these periods where this planet entered an ice age with temperatures dipping as low as minus 47, 48, minus 49, where the present temperature, as you can see along this line, has been not steady up until this period here. And we speak of a period of global warming. Now, I have stories that I will share in later episodes, and not too far down the line, in which I will discuss what I've been exposed to as a young person. And at no point in time did I believe that the solution to the problem, when I was 8 years old, was to scream at the top of my lungs about how horrible it all is and how it is we're all going to die. And so that is really the problem that I have. Not so much with Greta, but with the people who were handling her. So I had rational and sensible human beings talk to me when I was so afraid that my life would end without any level of accomplishments. Well, here we are, 42, 43 years later. Guess what? There's boogeymen. No, they did nothing. They did nothing. So anyway, my friends, I am going to call that a wrap for the first episode of A Fair Criticism. I would invite you to subscribe to the channel. Hit the link. What is it to subscribe below? Give me a like. If you give me thumbs down, dislike me if necessary. Yeah, it's going to be a great year. I'm happy for it. Next time I see you, I'll probably be shaved up and be looking a lot dapper, and I might have lost another 2 or 3 ounces. Not that I've lost anything today. I have eaten, and I have eaten well. Anyway, friends, that's it for today, and I hopefully believe that I have given this an honest and a fair criticism. Take care. Love your families. Be good to yourselves.